on May 26, 1828. In the old town square of Nuremberg, then part of the Kingdom of Bavaria, locals noticed a strange figure wandering among them. A teenage boy, unkempt, disoriented, his clothes shabby, his eyes haunted by confusion. He did not know who he was. He did not know from where he came. All he claimed was a name, Kaspar Hauser. In his trembling fist he carried 2 letters. That slender hope carried with it a mystery that would grow to echo across Europe. The first letter was addressed to a cavalry captain. Its author claimed he had taken in the boy as an infant on the 7th of October, 1812, promising to care for him, teach him, raise him, yet never allowing him outside the house, never letting him take a single step into the light. The letter said that if the captain could not care for the boy, he must either take him in or hang him in the chimney. The tone, desperate, obsessive, terrifying. It spoke of a life lived in shadow, confined, hidden, out of shame, fear, or some nameless danger. The second letter, purporting to be from the boy's mother, revealed his name, Kaspar. His date of birth, the 30th of April, 1812. It said his father was dead, a cavalryman of the 6th Regiment, and that she could no longer care for him, entrusting him to this unknown laborer's guardianship. But almost as soon as hope stirred, suspicion followed. Many later scholars noted that both letters appeared to be written by the same hand. The improbable uniformity raised a grim question. Had the boy, or someone close, forged them? At first, Kaspar seemed incapable, not only of recounting a childhood, but of reading, writing, or even understanding basic city life. He recoiled at meat and rich food. Instead, he asked only for bread and water. He was bewildered by everyday sights. People called him a village feral child, a wild boy more suited to the forest than to civilization. But within weeks, almost miraculously, he began to learn. His guardians arranged for a teacher, Friedrich Daumer, who, under gentle, patient care, taught the boy to read and write. Soon, Hauser was drawing, playing chess, absorbing education, transforming almost overnight from feral mystery to a child of promise. The world could barely believe it, nor could they resist. Crowds gathered outside the tower where he was held. People came to catch a glimpse of the child of Nuremberg, to stare into the eyes of the enigma who might be a secret prince, or the greatest hoax of the century. On October 17, 1829, Hauser failed to return home for lunch. Instead, he was discovered in the cellar of Daumer's house, bleeding from a cut on his forehead. He claimed a masked man had attacked him, warning him, "You still have to die ere you leave the city of Nuremberg." The voice, he insisted, was that of the man who had kept him captive all those years. A dramatic tale, but riddled with contradictions. The blood trail suggested illogical movement. He first fled into the house, then descended into the cellar to hide. The attacker vanished without trace. Detectives found no evidence. Many whispered, perhaps Hauser had inflicted the wound himself to garner attention, sympathy, or safety. Indeed, after repeated accusations of lying, suspicion followed him from keeper to keeper. 6 months later, on April 3, 1830, another strange accident occurred. A pistol discharged in Hauser's room. When his guards rushed in, they found him unconscious, bleeding from a head wound. Hauser claimed he had climbed a chair to reach a book, lost balance, and grabbed the pistol for support, causing a freak accident. Again, the wounds didn't quite add up. They seemed superficial for a gunshot. Witnesses accused Hauser of being irresponsible, deceitful, even manipulative. One keeper reportedly described him as a smart, scheming codger, a rogue, a good foreign thing that ought to be killed. Hauser shuffled between guardians, from Daumer's philosophical household to a merchant's home, then to the more cautious care of a noble family. Everywhere suspicion clung. Everywhere his reputation dimmed. As his story spread, whispers mounted. Could Kaspar Hauser be more than a lost boy? Among the most persistent rumors was a claim that Hauser was, in fact, the missing hereditary heir to the House of Baden. According to legend, the real infant heir had been secretly swapped at birth and hidden away. His life spent unknown, until he suddenly reappeared in Nuremberg decades later. For a time, influential supporters believed, or at least entertained, the possibility. One such supporter was Philip Stanhope, 4th Earl Stanhope, an English aristocrat who took interest in young Hauser. He paid for investigations and even journeys to Hungary, trying to trace Hauser's bewildering claims of Hungarian words and origins. Yet both trips failed. Hauser did not recognize any place or any building. When confronted by Hungarian nobles who remembered meeting him, they reportedly laughed, dismissing his claims as theatrical and false. Gradually, favor turned to skepticism. Hauser's behavior became less curious innocence, more manipulative inconsistency. He alternated between childlike vulnerability and vanity, between confusion and strange confidence. By late 1833, Hauser was living in the town of Ansbach, working as a clerk under a schoolmaster. He seemed to be rebuilding, but on the night of December 14th, everything unraveled. He stumbled into the house of his guardians with a deep, fatal wound in his chest. He gasped, claiming a stranger had lured him into the local court garden, handed him a purse, then plunged a knife into him. His final frantic words, "Man stabbed." Knife, court garden, purse, go look quickly. In the garden, police did find a small violet purse. Inside, a note written backwards in mirror writing. The message promised that the author would reveal his identity and origin from the Bavarian border, by the river. MLO. But the note was sloppy. Riddled with misspellings and grammatical errors, the same mistakes Hauser himself often made in his writing. The paper was folded in the same triangular style that Hauser habitually used. Many investigators thought this was not proof of a sinister assassin, but a final act of desperation, a tragic, miscalculated attempt to keep alive a fading mystery. Perhaps Hauser had wounded himself, hoping to draw attention, demand answers, maybe force his keepers or benefactors to finally believe. This time the knife went too deep. 3 days later, December 17, 1833, Kaspar Hauser died. The child of mystery, whose origin had haunted Europe, whose story had inspired countless speculations and whispered legends. His life ended in a small house in Ansbach. They buried him in the city cemetery of Ansbach. On his tombstone, Latin words chilling in their finality, "Here lies Kaspar Hauser, riddle of his time." His birth was unknown, his death mysterious. Over the decades, the mystery only deepened. Some clung to the idea of a hidden prince, stolen at birth. Others viewed him as a tragic impostor, a vulnerable boy whose desire for belonging and identity turned into performance, manipulation, and ultimately, self-destruction. In 2024, a scientific study compared mitochondrial DNA haplotypes from living descendants of the House of Baden with samples attributed to Hauser, and ruled out his claimed princely descent. Yet the enigma still remains. Was he a lost child of tragic origins, the victim of early psychological and physical abuse? Or was he a dramatic young man, spinning tales, exploiting compassion, and crafting a myth with the raw tools of innocence and vulnerability? Or something in between, a human being shaped by trauma and longing, truth and fabrication, hope and despair? Standing now, nearly 2 centuries later, one can visit the old Nuremberg square where he first appeared. Read the plaque on the wall, a silent memorial to a life that burst into public consciousness, only to vanish into legend. The story of Kaspar Hauser remains one of history's darkest riddles, a chilling puzzle of identity, memory, vulnerability, and human desperation. No final answer, only the echoes of a boy who walked into the square with nothing but 2 letters and a name, and then disappeared.